Quick word about AMCF. Those of you who don't know us, I know there are a lot of members here. We are the trade association, we're the Association of Management Consulting Firms. We are the trade association, so as opposed to the professional association, which is IMC, we represent the industry, and one of the main things we do are what we're doing today, which is bring the industry together, bring all the different companies together to talk about things that are very important to the industry, that are changing the industry, are changing the way we service our clients, are changing our clients, so that we can all learn and be better as an industry and not individual companies necessarily.
Stage 3, you have a Facebook page, nothing is happening on it, what do? So you start a Facebook contest or you run a Twitter influencer program. And again, some of the reasons which client side and agency side professionals give to themselves are it's important to engage influencers, engagement requires regular effort, and engagement is the first step towards advocacy. These are the sort of reasons which go into people's mind when they decide to start doing world where the boundaries between web, mobile, and social have blurred beyond recognition. And this has happened because of 2 or 3 different things. So on the sort of right-hand side, my right-hand side, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, in China, Sina Weibo, even Renren, all of these have open APIs, open application programming interfaces. And then these open APIs allow developers to build applications on top of them. These allow them to speak to each other. So at the simplest level, an update I do on Twitter from my BlackBerry can go to Facebook or LinkedIn, can start conversations, which I can then go onto my iPad and start participating in, and so on. The other side, social into marketing programs. Why do you do it? Convert influencers into advocates, build owned media permission assets so that as a CMO, you're not only looking at buying media all the time, you're building your own media. And finally, trigger participation and action. This is the CEO's domain. Yeah? The only way to integrate social deeply into your marketing programs is to inspire, organize, and energize people. So you need to start with what I called a social heartbeat, a shared purpose. This is your organization's purpose. You map your stakeholders, and you ask yourself, what is their purpose? What are they here to do? What do they get inspired about? And then you say, what's common between these two? That is the shared purpose, the social heartbeat. It's like you have the same heartbeat. That's the thought. Areas, they're also doing this. They created a fund with $200 million US fund. They created a venture fund with 4 venture capitalists. They invited ideas which could reinvent how we use the power grid, which could reinvent how we use electricity in our homes. Then they selected a bunch of these ideas. These ideas came from all over the world, including India, and they gave venture funding to this. This is social media. Yeah, this is social media. The opportunity I feel for this group, while people like me will go and tell people to create these things and evangelize it, I think the opportunity for this group is to focus on helping organizations calculate the ROI by helping them put the processes in place to calculate call center cost deflection, to calculate incremental revenue and margin, and so on. Okay.
Both of you. I don't think there's anti-social media, actually. I also don't think there is hype about social media. There is no hype about social media. There's only a lack of understanding. So again, historically, the printing press was reviled the same way social media is reviled today. Nobody liked the printing press when they started publishing books. People felt that people were actually, instead of coming to the church and getting knowledge in a community, they were actually sitting at home and reading that infernal book and not, So so society in general always has a phase sort of shift between disruptive technologies and how we understand it.
Add to that, where I'm coming from really is, for example, you're a consulting firm and you get onto social media. When is the time that you think it's right to perhaps start putting up ads, you know, because everybody says Facebook and Twitter is free, so I don't need to invest in being on social media. But at some point, if I'm a B2C, of course, you know, I'll start putting up Facebook ads, taking space on Google. But when is the right time for a B2B or a, you know, for even a consulting firm to start looking at ad space or looking at LinkedIn as a hiring platform? So is there any way that you can measure that this is perhaps the right time and this is where I go from here? Is till convergence comes and everything becomes one big story.
They get on LinkedIn, maybe Facebook says, hey, you know, I know you work with consultants, give me some idea. Social media, as you'll see in a second, is starting to become a major force for clients to figure out who they want to invite to for RFPs and who they should, as you'll find out in a second, not invite for RFPs or to become part of the selected consultants. So, as I just said, social media, it is not in our control. The question was, have you ever decided not to use a consulting firm after hearing it mentioned negatively by someone or several people in your online social networks? And the answer is 40% of the respondents said yes. Now, one of the things we're going to do in this year's study is we're going to try to figure out what exactly does that mean, because that can mean...
First thing I want to talk about is the visibility around our consultants and our candidates, because this is a big area, and I've talked to several people in the crowd already about recruiting and poaching, and you know, also what people see about their consultants. And just referring back to John's data, you know, LinkedIn is one of the #1 places people look to evaluate consultants.
I think consulting as a sector, and we as individual firms, I think we're already thinking about is that we would have to recalibrate the metrics of the throughput, like how do you collaborate, how do you compute or process information, and how do you maintain clarity of thinking when there is so much of white noise? Because I think there was like sort of so much discussion that there are great insights embedded in whatever exhaust that's coming out. So listening is important for consulting.
This question on analytics. The analytics, I mean, it's a difficult analytics. I mean, not that there is no analytics right now. There are analytics people. There are some automated, some manual analytics which are still being employed. Like how many people have we been able to hire in the last quarter through LinkedIn? Or how many people have we been able to hire through some other sites? So these kind of analytics are definitely there. But more intelligent analytics where exactly PwC has not been referred to, but the topic is of relevance to us or of some context to us, and how do we pick that up and therefore take a decision or disseminate that information, send it to the centralized governing body internationally who takes certain calls. Those are the kind of analytics that we want to do. So it's like a crawler moving around all
back to one aspect that you mentioned, which is the confidentiality of our clients, which is all of us high priority. You know, we found out that many of our consultants now use these location-based applications, and the location-based application is linked to Foursquare. It's linked to Twitter in terms of tweeting where they are. All of us.